MAYC, a young people's organisation that's reached its half-century. A contradiction in terms? Well, let's find out. In this video, we'll be taking a backwards, forwards and sideways look at MAYC. With 50 years of youth work under its belt, there are some key questions to answer. Questions like, who and what is MAYC? What sort of people are part of MAYC? What's MAYC actually doing? What's with the green and yellow fixation? And perhaps most importantly, what is the meaning of Oggy, Oggy, Oggy? See what I mean? Come with us as we delve into the far-flung corners of MAYC, looking for answers. We're going to explode a few myths along the way as young people tell us about their lives and explain where and how MAYC fits in. There's lots to come in the next half hour, so why don't you pull up a comfy chair, settle down, and come with us to a place they call Beyond the Oggy. And where better to start than where it all began, 50 years ago.
It's 1945. The war is finally over, and at last all our youngsters are returning to their homes after evacuation. The nation has great hopes for the future, although everyone knows that it's going to be tough going at first. The Methodist Church recognizes that young people have a crucial role to play in forging Britain's destiny, and knows that the Christian gospel has a major contribution to make to shaping their lives, and through them, the nation. Out of this vision, MAYC is born, launched in a blaze of glory, Saturday the 2nd of July, 1945. Taking as its emblem the scallop shell that pilgrims once wore and that formed part of the family coat of arms of Methodist founders John and Charles Wesley, MAYC soon achieves recognition as a national voluntary youth organisation, rapidly gaining the respect of the nation's youth service. And what fun it is to be part of MAYC. There's mountaineering, train spotting, cold water bathing, amateur dramatics. And of course, there's always ping pong. Yes, ping pong flourishes in all MAYC clubs, and sometimes snooker and billiards too. How they'd love to dance. There's even a modern beat combo to provide the music. And after all that fun, what could be better than an uplifting sermon? Let's pause a while and listen in to what the preacher has to say.
Okay, so that's where MAYC came from. But where is it today? And what's it doing? Things have changed in a big way since 1945. These days, MAYC is the largest church-based, non-uniformed youth organisation in the UK. And that's big. Any young people's group connected to the Methodist Church can get the help and support of MAYC. You don't need special membership. If you're there, you're in. All around the country, MAYC works with other youth organisations, trying to make a difference where it really matters, exploring issues at home and abroad, and encouraging young people to commit themselves to making change happen when and where it's necessary. So MAYC is about having a good time, but it's also about getting involved. Young people in MAYC groups are active in all sorts of local projects, getting stuck in and their hands dirty to help those around them who need someone on their side, the homeless, the unemployed, the victimised and the forgotten. MAYC is also about young people getting stuck into their local churches, discovering and sharing faith, playing their part in making sure the church remains relevant to this generation. It's not easy, but it's got to be done. Belonging means meeting others, and there are lots of occasions to get together nationally. Sports and quiz competitions, conferences and training events, and 2 annual happenings, the Provincial Weekend, hosted by a different part of the country each year, and the MAYC London Weekend. If we're talking biggest and best, over 10,000 young people and youth workers get together every year over a weekend in May to take the capital by storm. Understandably, for those who go, London Weekend is often the highlight of the year. It's an inspiring and motivational experience that many MAYC groups refuse to miss. And, to be frank, it's another chance to dress up in green and yellow and shout Oggy, Oggy, Oggy. It's a large-scale, high-profile event that acts as a focus for a local group's activities, as well as the national programme. But all the shouting and fun adds up to very little if it doesn't make a difference back home. The challenges have got to be met where they mean something, beyond the Oggy and back in the daily reality of life. And for this group, that means Yeovil. Yeovil are the first of 4 groups we'll be spending some time with in this video. It's a long way from London Weekend to Yeovil. There's not been much in the way of sleep in the last 48 hours, and there's work, school and college tomorrow. But by next Friday night, you can be sure that group life will resume as normal. Of course, what counts as normal is going to be different for different youth groups. No 2 of the 4 groups we'll be seeing in this video are much alike. They've each got their own agendas and their own way of doing things, but they're all part of MAYC. In fact, in all the ways that really matter, they are MAYC. To understand it, you've got to understand them. The Yeovil group are based at St. Mark's Methodist Church, one of the 3 in the town. It's a fairly typical Methodist church, full of fairly typical Methodists. But, as you might expect, the youth club represents the more vibrant side of life. The group meets on a Friday night for a whole range of activities, guaranteed to get young people involved. The MAYC connection gives a sense of belonging. Everyone is immediately part of a wider network, a network that gives security, credibility and purpose. As you might expect, the group link up with the network as often as possible, at events such as London Weekend and here in Portsmouth at their area's district weekend. So what's it like to be part of the MAYC network?
It helps me express myself as me, because when you're at school, you're just a school pupil who's got to get good grades, and when you're at home, you've got to be what your parents expect, but when you come away, you can just be whoever you want to be. I'd be lost without it. I think most of my life revolves around MAYC.
Yeovil are similar in lots of ways to many other MAYC groups. This kind of youth work meets young people where they are, offering them friendship and support, and introducing them to Christianity in a practical way. Because of this, the bonds created are very strong, and the commitment remarkable.
Sort of the spiritual side, it makes it something, it's something worthwhile. You know that you're doing it for a purpose. I've gone to other youth clubs, and you go along, you play uni hoc or table tennis or whatever you do, but it just lacks something. I think the spiritual side gives it that something.
People don't seem to really care what you know, they take you for what you are, rather than that's my opinion of you and you've got to stay to that. It's livened up my life totally. Without it I'd be really boring, and it's just a totally amazing feeling when you're within a group of people.
Just being able to share with loads of other Christians, to be able to bounce ideas off and get new experiences. Otherwise, you know, it's very hard to try and be a Christian on your own, especially when you're young. If you have any problems, you can always pray about them or share them with other people. And, you know, you've always got someone to talk to. Like 50 members in the club, you've always got someone to talk to. That's really nice, just knowing someone there.
I got dragged along one night and it was really good fun. I've been stuck ever since. You tend to go out, meet people in places you wouldn't never go. In MAYC, you just tend to get together, be friendly, and the age is nothing to do with it. Enjoyment, fun, and everyone just treats you as one big happy family. So it's really good fun.
You just feel totally together with everybody, I think.
This friendship and commitment often has wide horizons. National motivation from MAYC often leads to a practical result. Young people are encouraged to translate their concern and faith into action. The key thing, though, is to find issues that can actually be tackled and that matter in your area. Get stuck in and make a difference where you can. Think globally, act locally. Local action on a global problem is exactly what's happening here at the Trinity Youth Centre in Clitheroe, Lancashire. The centre's part of Clitheroe Methodist Church and is supported by the church, the local authority and MAYC. Gary Williamson is one of the youth workers at Trinity. Partially sighted himself, Gary runs an 18-plus group for disabled and non-disabled young people that he used to be a member of. The group's work over the past 4 years has led them to leading workshops for MAYC and others. Workshops on the problems of integrating the disabled and non-disabled while trying to avoid the compromises that often entails. 4 years into the work, how far have they got? And what ideas are they feeding back to the wider youth service and MAYC? Gary Williamson.
Integration and empowering disabled people. And I have a thing that how can you do both? You can't have integration with non-disabled people and give power to disabled people. With non-disabled people being around, take the power away. Just naturally, they can't help it. It just comes away by saying, I'll organise that, you don't. So, I mean, now I've still got the brief of it being integrated, but my main thing is to get disabled people in positions of power where they feel really strong, so that if non-disabled people do come in, then, you know, there is that equal basis of everyone being equal and no one being higher than anyone else. You've got to be careful getting into that role of doing patronising games or having a patronising attitude, or having non-disabled people in as helpers when people don't need helpers, they just need friends, basically. I mean, if you've got a good friend, then it's better than having an helper, isn't it?
This approach is important to the whole 18-plus group at Trinity, and they've been working on ways of expressing how they feel. This camcorder footage was taken by the 18-plus group at a Monday night session where they were seeing for the first time full-size mock-ups of posters they've designed.
It just came out of the Jigsaw project and we thought, we've got something good here, well, let's tell everyone else. And let's say how we've done it and why it's good and stuff. So we thought we'd do it through posters. And we ended up with all these ideas how we could do posters, look through them all, what issues are real to us, what issues should we explore. And they come up with all, you know, like 5 or 6 posters basically they wanted to do. We just said, let's jot as much feeling as we have around disability as possible, what affects our lives. So we got down all these issues. And then we said, let's have some phrases around disability. What do we feel about disability? And so we said, well, it's a right to be disabled. You shouldn't be told nothing's bad about being disabled. Things like, one lad said, if you're disabled and you do something good, someone thinks that someone else did it for you. So we said all them feelings, and basically that's all it was. And all them feelings come out with someone writing them down and writing them down. And basically we'd got it all down by then. As soon as we got all them feelings out, everything was down that needed to be down. Once it was disabled people talking about what they wanted, it was an easy process. But it was an hard process to get to disabled people in charge. The posters that describe a project that happened and what's possible. And, you know, and it's not necessary. And we didn't put in what's possible with money. It's not about, you know, it's what's possible if you've got a good working relationship with people, if people are willing to make the effort. And so we just said, let's explore it, we've got something good to say. Let's basically spread the word kind of thing. And so we did.
Not all MAYC young people would call themselves Christians, and MAYC is involved in lots of projects that have no direct connection with the church. But for many, a Christian faith is the driving force to get involved in some of the practical issues of life. It's also the reason for getting involved in the life and work of a local church, and for looking to find ways of making God relevant to young people today. And that's important, because all too often traditional worship has little to do with life as young people know it. Instead of just moaning about exactly this problem, the youth group from Old Roan Methodist Church in Liverpool have decided to get involved and do something about it. Once a month, they organise a Sunday night worship session called Not the 8:15. It's Saturday night and the group are meeting at one of the youth workers' flats for a night before planning meeting. It may not look like a planning meeting because it's relaxed and obviously fun, but then that's what you'd expect when young people get to do things their way. The theme and ideas for tomorrow's Not the 8:15 have been developed over the past couple of weeks, but there are some finishing touches to put to tomorrow's programme. And of course, there's pizza to be eaten.
The 8:15 service has been going, I think it must be for about 4 years now, 3 or 4 years. And it was started by our minister and his wife. and it just basically came about as an idea of an alternative service once a month, like an ecumenical service that we could invite other Christian groups to.
It was actually originally called Not Day 15 Service because it wasn't like a structured service.
Yeah, it wasn't supposed to be a proper one like in the
But it's
mornings.
not now. It's on Not Day 15 because it starts at 10 o'clock.
This relaxed approach to timekeeping says a lot about Not the 8:15 and why it works for the young people at Old Rowan. Group worship like this relies on lots of people getting involved and naturally demands preparation and commitment, despite the laid-back approach. So, why do they do it?
Well, I think part of it is like the friendships that you make and you come along to see those people again. But also it's different from what you'll get at church on a Sunday morning. It's just a chance to do something different, and perhaps it's a little bit less restrictive than ordinary worship.
Worship's supposed to be fun, and when you go in the morning and all the old songs that they play, you just don't find it fun and you're just not interested and you don't go.
You go into services each Sunday morning and you feel restricted. I mean, because occasionally like we can start clapping and it's like, you don't do that in here. So you can just let it all out, each first Sunday of the month.
I mean, it's okay chatting, but we do loads of it because we like have youth club and loads of social events, but it's something different and it's important, and you feel like you're actually doing something.
There's nothing spectacular or radical about Not the 8:15, but it allows a group of young Christians to express themselves in worship on their own terms.
It's an opportunity actually for like the young people to lead worship, which is different to what you'd normally get in your own service. You can't really do that. You might have a part, like the preacher might ask you to do a reading or whatever, but I think you actually get a lot more input from young people at that kind of service. I mean, if you ask to take the service, it is left down to you, and you can organise that however you want and play around with the structure as much as you want. And yet, if you want to do something that might be really different from what people normally see before, I think people are prepared to sit and listen to you and see what they get out of it. And obviously, if it's good, then you get the chance to do it again.
Because of their own experiences in worship, the group are keen to keep Not the 8:15 as open as possible to all comers. So it's not just young people that attend or take part. In fact, a large age range comes along because they enjoy the freedom in worship that they find there.
There's people who really enjoy dance. We do dramas for people who enjoy drama. There's people who, it gives people a chance to sort of speak as like, maybe, they want to be preachers or something. It gives them a chance to speak and not feel so like intimidated because it's people that they are close to and know.
To go into a church and for it to be full of young people when you're a young person is very encouraging. To sort of, because in the morning you usually go in and sometimes you might be you'll be the only person under like 40 sometimes, and
or older.
Yeah, just for that fact is a good thing to be surrounded by people of your own age who feel the same way as you.
It's a good thing to get together with other young people who think the same way and feel the same things as you. The Old Rowan MAYC group has found that that's true, especially in worship.
We just accept everybody the way we all are and just get in together. Get on with it.
MAYC's there to help and to encourage all those involved in the non-uniformed youth work associated with Methodist churches. There's training for youth workers and publications and resources and regular mailings to support the work. One thing that MAYC is not about, though, is doing things for young people. MAYC is all about equipping young people to do things for themselves. The MAYC network supports many projects that are reaching out to disadvantaged young people wherever they find themselves. There's one such project here at Brunswick Methodist Church in Newcastle. The Brunswick Young People's Project exists to support the city's forgotten young people, the ones that slip through the net of normal family life and benefit systems. This is practical help, pure and simple, and MAYC is here supporting and encouraging. We gave Brunswick a camcorder to film their own story.
My name is Mike Chesney. I'm a full-time youth and community worker here at Brunswick Young People's Project. I've been here over 2 years now. Brunswick Young People's Project was set up in 1981 as part of the church's mission to young people in the city centre in an attempt to show God's love in a practical way with young people who don't necessarily come to church or, you know, feel that the church has no relevance to them. Brunswick is primarily a detached project. We do detached work in and around the city centre various times of the day and evening. The main focus at the moment is at the soup kitchens in and around Newcastle, which run on various evenings of the week. And our role in detached work is to go out where young people meet, make contact with young people. This takes time, build up relationships with young people so that they realise that they can trust us and that we offer what skills we have, whether that's knowledge of various issues around housing and benefits or what have you. There are a number of young people that will meet solely on a detached basis. There are others that we've built up a relationship with in the detached setting who come into the coffee bar at other times to get further information, to use the phone, to see a worker, whatever reason. As a Christian myself, I feel quite comfortable with the way it works here at Brunswick.
Brunswick Young People's Project is easily the best place I've ever worked. I particularly like the combination of different styles of work. I've done a lot of detached work in the past, and I think there are limitations. At Brunswick, it fits into part of a pattern, the three component pieces being the detached work, which is essentially street contact work in the city centre, focusing in on places like the Monument, Eldon Square. The second strand is the coffee bar itself, which operates as a drop-in, being run by young people, staffed, working out rotas, working out stock taking and so on, is in itself a piece of youth work and looking to develop skills for young people which might be transferable into something in later life. The third part of the jigsaw at Brunswick is the group work sessions. At the moment we have literacy, sign language, men's group and women's group, the art session, and independent living skills.
I come here because I've been coming here for years since I was on the door and I'm working in that, but I've been coming here for quite a while. It's a good drop-in centre, you know. Passes the time when you've got nothing else to do as well, and there's some good people here.
I think the most important thing about this project is the spirit that runs between the young people and the project. The fact that the young people enjoy coming here, they find safety here, they find everything they want to, they can do as much as they want, or as least as they want.
I think everyone just comes here, it's like who's been homeless and they've come for help. And they've been helped, now they just keep coming because they've got friends, you know. Is that it?
One thing is clear. MAYC means a lot of different things to a lot of different people. But beyond the Oggy, things are happening. MAYC is the thrill, energy and life of big events. It's training, support, information. It's a network. For young people in Yeovil, it's all about belonging and being yourself.
People don't seem to really care what you know, they take you for what you are rather than that's my opinion of you and you've got to stay to that.
You just feel totally together with everybody.
MAYC is about action on issues that young people care about and seeing that it is possible to make a difference. In Clitheroe, young people are fighting for the right to be treated as equals. Not a lot to ask, you'd think, but it's a struggle that MAYC is backing all the way.
People don't need helpers, they just need friends, basically. I mean, if you've got a good friend, then it's better than having an helper, isn't it?
MAYC is the whole church working together to express and to discover Christian faith. At Old Rowan, the young people are taking Sunday worship seriously and trying to make their faith in Jesus come alive for their own generation.
Just for that fact is a good thing to be surrounded by people of your own age who feel the same way as you.
MAYC is about equipping young people to take their place in society and supporting them when they're in need. At Brunswick Young People's Project, this means taking time to get out onto the streets and listen to those the rest of society seems to forget about. When you get down to it, MAYC is still here after 50 years because it's got a reason for being, and it's real people facing real challenges. It is about being young and having fun, but it's also about faith and action, getting together and getting involved. MAYC. We're getting together because together we can make a difference.